Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Before we jump in today, I just wanted to give you a reminder that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, registration for the Glow Retreat opens. So this is an annual retreat that I am hosting in Delavan, Wisconsin, and it is for female balloon business owners. And this year there is an emphasis on content creation. So we are going to be doing a content sprint, which means that we will be creating 3 months worth of blog content over the course of the retreat. And we will be joined by our special guest, Lily from the Creative Heart Studio, who will talk about personal branding, blogging, and also coming up with a strategy to repurpose that content into other things like newsletters, social media posts, all sorts of other uses besides just blogging. In addition, there will be a lot of time to socialize, network, and relax. We will eat meals together. It's going to be a really great 3 days, and it is open to the first 18 women to register tomorrow morning. There will be a link in the show notes wherever you're listening for full event registration information. But just a heads up, last year it did sell out on the first day. So if you are interested in coming, make sure to check out that registration page today and then hop online tomorrow morning, which is May 1st. If you are listening to this after the release date, to sign up if you're interested. With that, I am excited to record today's episode because it is a crowdsourced episode. I am going to be sharing information from you guys. I had an idea that I straight up stole from another Instagram post in a different field. And basically it was a reel, and it said, if you've been in business for less than 5 years, comment with a question. And if you've been in business for more than 5 years, leave an answer. So I posted this before I went to bed, and a couple people had commented. I was like, oh, that's great. I love participation. I woke up and I think there's like 300 comments from you guys on this post. So it is just full of a ton of information, motivation, great questions, great answers. And I am going to go through in this episode and read some of those highlights. So thank you for everyone who participated. It was such a fun way to share and support each other. I was really thrilled with all of the participation. Before we jump into that, let's head over to the UGlu Hotline for some great advice that sticks. Welcome to the UGlu Hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hey, Sarah. My name is Heather. My business is Popping Off Balloons in Tampa Bay, Florida. First, I want to say thank you so much for the show. I listen every week, and I'm so grateful for all the tips and information you have shared with us, as well as congratulations on your new baby. I hope everything is going well for you. I have a tip for everyone out there. My tip is rubber bands. I buy them in bulk at Sam's Club. I used to use 260s and cut them in half and spend a lot of time tying them to attach things together. Now I use rubber bands to put the mini balloons on garland. I tape them to the back of foils to attach foils. And I go through so many rubber bands. It's way more cost effective than buying a bunch of 260s. And I'll attach 2 of them together. You can do endless things with the rubber bands. Thanks again, Sarah. Bye.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, UGlu, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on UGlu when you buy directly from Havin A Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome back, and let's jump right in. The first question that was asked by Jessie Decorations is, what skills or habits do successful balloon artists you know have in common? And here are some of the responses from are veterans. Decor by Heidi says, unfollow your competition and just do you. Your largest hindrance will be comparison. And that had a lot of likes and agreement. Heirloom Balloon says this is great advice. The Balloon River says, I 100% agree with this. The ability to keep the blinders on, block outside noise, and focus on themselves and their business and how they want to see themselves grow. Happy Little Party says, identify your style, own it, and sell that. Don't offer everything and anything that is made with balloons. Find the way you love to work, the types of events you love doing, and get great at that. It's always okay to change things up if you get bored, and trying new skills and going outside of your comfort zone is great, but having a brand makes your career path easier to pave. I love that. I think that is such good advice. She also followed up and says, I'm still working on mine for 6 years. I'm like a goldfish, but don't be too hard on yourself. So that was a follow-up to her own comment about finding your own style. It's not something that comes quickly or easily, and it's okay to kind of change and get distracted and try new things. But I agree with that. I like that. If you're trying to appeal to everybody, you kind of start appealing to nobody. North Shore Balloon Decor says consistency. And Art House Balloon Company says persistence. All right, Life's a Party Indie says, how do you get in front of your market instead of becoming viral to non-local people? Great question. I think there's such a push to get a lot of likes and follows on Instagram, but if those people are all over the world and they're not actually going to buy from you, that doesn't really matter or make a ton of sense. So she's asking, how do you get in front of the right people that are actually going to purchase from you? And once again, Decor by Heidi has a ton of agreement on this comment. She says, schools, PTA, clubs, and social reunions. Go to where your clients meet. This is one of the rules of the pumpkin plan. Find where your clients are and go there. Snap Pop Party says, network and connect with venues, planners, chambers of commerce, and attend any and every networking event that is in your industry. Lug's Boutique says, go to local businesses, leave your business card like a nail salon. Oh, that's interesting. I know a lot of places have those bulletin boards in the back where you can just actually stick your card to the board. You could do that. But going business to business is also an idea. Pop Park City says, interact on social media with businesses in your area. Personal connections and networking go a long way. Amber and Vine says, agree with the answer so far. I've noticed decent traffic from my Google page as well as industry referrals. So make those connections between other balloon companies. Networking events and engaging with your local chamber of commerce could also be a great source. And the one tip that I will add is that I think it helps to network, follow, and interact with your current clients. So if you have a handful of clients and they're on Instagram or Facebook, I think staying really connected to them goes a long way because they remember that you exist. They might only have 1 or 2 events a year. So staying connected to them, but then also the people that follow them either like their style and want to replicate it or are in the same industry. Like I follow a lot of photographers, videographers, makeup artists, venues, and all of the people following them are also kind of interacting and swimming in the same pond. So I think interacting with people in similar industries that are already your clients can lead to new clients. Let's see, what else do we have in terms of questions? What technique or skill did you learn that really stepped up your business? And what was your best resource to learn these skills? This was asked by Balloon Vibes CLT. I responded to this one and I said, for me, it was how to use power tools and build my own bases and framework. So this is something that I think people think is really scary or avoid. But the minute that I was able to crank out 10 bases the night before an event or know how to make a 30-foot arch using things that I could get at Home Depot, this not only brought down my expenses because, ordering a pre-made arch kit is a lot more expensive than going to Home Depot and buying materials. It also meant I could take last minute jobs, and it also meant that I could replace my gear if it got broken. It also meant that I could do a lot of the same thing. So I have a job every year and it's 3 30-foot arches. So a lot of people would have turned that down because they don't have 3 arrow pole systems. But because I make my arches out of PVC and things that I can just run to the store and buy. I am able to make whatever whenever. Also, I just like the confidence of knowing how to use tools. Anytime I need custom framework, I like that I can just do it myself and I don't have to depend on someone else to make it for me. Other answers to this question, Decor by Heidi said learning how to measure my work helped me avoid overbuying inventory and finding the best garland recipe for you. So yes, having an accuracy in your ordering definitely helps you waste a lot less and makes you confident. I mean, there's nothing worse than like running out of balloons either the night before an event or worst case scenario when you're actually on site, when you underestimate it. It's Me Jody says, would you share your base building with us again? Ooh, this is a response to me. So I shared it on a Havin A Party live, a teachable moment. I showed how to make my bases. I am currently working on a tutorial of how to make all my bases. I have 3 that I use. I do a 2 foot by 2 foot wide wooden base plate that I make using a flange, and that's what I use for my 30-foot arches with a ton of sandbags on it. My everyday base is a 16 by 16 made out of wood, and then I have the occasional paver bases that a lot of people use. I do mine a little bit different, but I am working on a download to kind of simplify showing that process. All right, and let's do one more question before we head to a break, and that is by Poppin' Off Balloons, and she asked, what is the best thing you did for your mental health as a business owner? Okay, first of all, this is going to be its own episode. I am working on developing a mental health episode because I think it's so important, but the answers that are in this reel are from Art House Balloon Company, and she said the best thing for her was worrying only about the business that pays her. So I think that's really interesting. I interpret that by her saying that, you know, you might want 1 million Instagram followers. You might want to be asked to teach. You might want to have something go viral. But if that doesn't pay your bills, you don't need to focus on that. So oftentimes when I'm really, really overwhelmed and I don't know what I need to do next, I think about the thing that generates me income. So a lot of times that's answering emails, that's sending invoices, that's following up on overdue invoices, or it's just like doing balloons. It's completing the job, the thing that actually generates money. So I think that's really, really good advice. And the other response to this question was left by Faracho Flare Balloons. And she says, take time off when you need it. Your clients will be there when you return. I couldn't agree more. I think that's so hard to do. It's very difficult to say no to jobs and to say no to money, but it's so much better than burning out. Oh, there's actually more to this. Stars Above Balloons says take scheduled self-care days off, 2 days off a month to get massages, spa, movies, whatever it is that makes you happy, and stay off social media and auto respond to your emails on that day. I think that's a great tip. And Zeppelin Balloons says raise your minimum and you'll work less and make the same amount of money. I just did this. Honestly, I started to burn out and I put a $400 minimum on all orders for the summer. All of my weekends were booking up and I figured, this is peak season. May through September, every weekend is going to fill if I let it. And every weekend's going to fill with a good job if I let it. But the problem is I let these smaller jobs creep in and then I can't take the bigger jobs. And for me, right now, it's less about money and more about being home with my baby. So it's distance. Like I don't want to drive an hour to do an install and then an hour back and then an hour to take down and then an hour back. So I am prioritizing local events and keeping that minimum at $400. It's to the point where like I'd rather not leave my house than go do $100 install. And I'm very lucky that I'm at a point where I can do that. I'm kind of taking like an extended, I don't want to say maternity leave, but like maternity lightened year because I can't keep working at the same pace. And I think raising your minimum or raising the price of your balloons kind of automatically slows things down, but a lot of the times you end up making the same amount of money. So very good advice from Zeppelin Balloons. All right, let's take a quick break and hear from a sponsor, and then we'll be back with more questions and answers from you. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Havin A Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. Havin A Party Wholesale is on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients, from top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Sempertex, PremiumConwin, and introducing Brookloon, a new balloon line created by the Havin A Party family. They've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at havinaparty.com. All right, welcome back. Party Pop Austin asked, when do you start thinking about investing in a Sprinter van? All right, I have an entire episode about purchasing my van. I remember it being such a big deal at the time. It was a lot of money. It felt very overwhelming. I don't know anything about cars. I didn't know what mileage was good or bad or what to look for. So there is an entire episode about that if you're interested. But my personal advice would have been as soon as you know you're going to stick with balloons. You don't want to do it straight away because what if you don't actually like balloons and then you're stuck with this big van? But I waited way too long. I wish I had done it earlier. It was the single best decision I've ever made in my business. And Decor by Heidi agrees. She says, as soon as you can, it's the fastest way to scale. I totally agree. Violet Pineapple Balloons says, get it as soon as you can afford it. You will fill it. Absolutely. But Balloon Construction says, now you will not regret it. Fun and Confetti says, I think it depends. I have a U-Haul 5 minutes from my studio and it always has vans available. And they're really nice. I don't go super long distances, so it's never too much money. I'm now thinking about a van, but mostly because of marketing. Way better to show up in a branded van than a U-Haul. Very nice perspective. And Pop Park City says, when the amount you spend on U-Hauls consistently in a month is more than the lease or the loan payment on a van, it will help you pitch bigger things more consistently to your clients. Yes, I totally agree with this. I've talked about this multiple times that subconsciously, when you have the delivery space, you sell bigger things. When I was delivering out of an SUV, I would convince people that they didn't actually want an arch, they wanted columns. Now is the opposite. I'm like, you don't want columns, you want 30-foot arches because I know they're going to fit in my van and it's a higher ticket. So even if you don't feel yourself selling down, you really, really are. And everyone with a van will tell you something magical happens. When you get a van, you fill the space and you don't understand how you ever ran your business without it. So I think don't stretch yourself to the point where you can't pay the bills, but as soon as you think it's a reality, go for the van. Happy Little Party said, when I spent about what the payment would be on rentals in January, one of the slowest months I had to rent so many times. Okay, so saying January is her slowest month and she still was renting vans consistently. She bought a van last February and I wish I'd done it years ago. But after having the van, I booked bigger jobs and needed a bigger workspace too. I'd say get the van before you hire an assistant or inflator. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I agree. I think getting the van is like the best step. It's better. It's the best investment you can make in your business. All right. And there's a few more answers, but they literally all say the same. So the answer to that one is as soon as you possibly can get a van, get it. Rosie's Balloon says, do you think having a website is helpful? Creative Decoration says social media could disappear tomorrow. You own your website. And Queen City Balloon says 1000%. We have an online shop and make sales weekly, if not daily on it. Balloons in Brooke, Canada says, yep, it's a great way to showcase pictures, be transparent about pricing, and post ways to contact you. So many people reply on Google versus social media. The Balloon River. Okay. I'm curious what Jasmine has to say. She says, yes, 100%. Having social media, internet presence isn't only social media, but this helps put you in front of people searching for services via web searches. Also, corporations likely will not search social media, but rather websites for reputable businesses. Okay, the reason why I was interested in what Jasmine had to say is because for a long time, she didn't have a website. And I know this because it was a mystery to me because she books the biggest, most amazing jobs because she works with really good planners in New York. And finally, she did get a website. And I think you can tell from her response that it's already serving her well. I personally couldn't run my business without my website. It is where everything lives and where I send everybody. And there's so many affordable ways to get a website. You could have something as simple as a landing page. To me, it's almost like one of those things where if you don't have a website, people wonder why. I think it makes you seem less of a reputable business, like someone mentioned in the comments here. And they're, for $15 a month, you can have a website. It's just a matter of taking the time to sit down and do it. Or get in touch with our sponsor, Jeff from Balloon Suite, and he can set you up with a template in like a week. Okay, next question. Coco Gifts Party Decor says, what has kept you from not giving up at times you felt like it? Whew, this one has a lot of replies. All right. Bougie Balloon says, passion projects and the opportunity to choose my own setup from the backdrop to the colors. I do it often when I feel discouraged and it realigns or relights my fire. Oh, cool. So like doing things for yourself. I think that's neat. Happy Little Party says, consider the other option of work. Remember what it was like working for someone else. Then go make something pretty and just keep at it. Oh, I love that. I love that. Let's Go Cheryl says, I like that if you start feeling burnt out, you can just stop posting or advertising and wait for things to slow down for a few weeks. Then you can get inspired and start again. That's one thing I love about my job. I go hard all summer and take breaks in January and sometimes during other parts of the year. So again, that freedom. Amber and Vine says, community hands down. Try to connect with other small business owners. Meet for coffee, grab lunch, host or attend a meetup. They help you through the ups and downs. Green-Eyed Ambition says participating in opportunities within the local entrepreneur centers and having a purpose bigger than making money. If money was a big enough motivation, everyone who chases it would have it, which is far from the truth. And for me personally, I have so much connection to the balloon community, I can't imagine leaving it. I do get burnt out. I do get frustrated with customers. I do get like physically exhausted from this job. But at this point, like my social circle is within the balloon world. Like I love going to conventions. I talk to my girlfriends every single day and they're balloon business owners. Like it's my community. So I can't really imagine quitting because it would remove me from so much else outside of just the business part. The other thing that keeps me going is knowing how hard I work and knowing that everyone else is probably feeling like this too. So I think it's hard when you feel like you're doing something wrong because this is such hard work. And for some reason, it makes me feel better knowing like, okay, everyone is struggling. Everyone thinks this is hard work. It is not easy. And as long as you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you're going to make it. And the other thing that now that I've been in business for 8 going on 9 years, the thing that drives me crazy is how cyclical it is. Like it's a seasonal business. So there are times that are so slow, they're painful and I start to panic. And then there's times that are so busy, they're painful and I start to panic. Now I've actually started to enjoy that balance, knowing that the summers are crazy, but that the winters are really, really going to slow down. I think I've always worked in education. I've always been a teacher. Then I worked at college and I've always had summer break. Like I've never worked at a job where it's just the same thing year round. So I've always had that push and then that break. And I feel like balloons fit into that same routine. There's a busy season and there's a slow season. And I feel like I can always look forward to one or the other. Okay, moving into one more question before a break. What size balloons and how many of each to create the perfect cluster? I love this. And the responses are all over the place. So perfect cluster, in my opinion, this is by Bailey Tooltill. Probably say that wrong. She says, in her opinion, she does 8 11-inch balloons and 8 5-inch balloons. 17-inch balloons used as accents once the bulk of the garland is installed. And I said, oh, that's interesting because I do 2 16s and 4 11s with 5-inch accents. Another response, Boston Balloon Art, says, I base my cluster on my recipe, on the Bright Balloon recipe. But then for every third cluster, I make one with 3 11-inch, 2 17-inch, and 1 24-inch. It's easier than adding the 24-inch later and makes a heftier garland. Okay, interesting. So she has my same recipe, but every 3 clusters, she's adding in a 24-inch to just kind of give that bulk. And I like that tip of adding it in as you go instead of adding the jumbos later, because sometimes they kind of like stick out weird. Like they look like they're not actually like part of the garland. I don't know if this is Lulu G's boutique, probably, instead of Lulug's boutique. I'm not sure. They said everyone is different. I alternate, sometimes 6 or 8 organic, of course, and definitely accent with 17-inch and 5-inch clusters. So I guess she's saying 6 or 8 balloons in each cluster. Lulu Balloons does the same as me. Wisco Blooms says, what size are they blown up to? Oh gosh, I have no idea. It's all on the Air Force and totally random for me. And there are a few more here, but they're all pretty much the same. They're all just variations. I think what it comes down to is pick what you like and then stay consistent. That's how you're going to build your own recipe. And more importantly, like know how many balloons you're going to use instead of just adding and adding and adding. That's where you start losing money and time and you're not charging enough for your garlands. So figure out what you think the perfect cluster is and then just stick with it. Okay, let's take another break and then get into more questions.
Are you driving to do an installation right now? Have you ever had that experience of while you're driving, your phone rings and it's a great potential customer, but you're on the middle of the freeway and you can't take the details of the order down, and so you're really worried you're going to forget everything? Well, there's a really great way to solve this. It's by having an answering service. If you'd like to learn more solutions to the balloon decor business problems you face, then come on over to balloonsuite.com. We have a blog full of expertise, and we offer packages that help you get your sales on track to reach your goals. Come on over, learn more, and you can subscribe at balloonsuite.com.
All right, Skinner 6 Strong asks, if you could go back when you first started and give yourself advice, what would it be? All right, I responded quickly to this one because this is something that I look back on and I don't understand. But I said I would tell everyone about my business. I was weird and sneaky and almost embarrassed when I started because I didn't feel like it was real yet. And that is one of the biggest regrets that I have. I should have done like a big announcement and a big party and a big launch or something, but I didn't. I was like, I felt embarrassed because I felt like people are going to be like, well, you don't have a business because you haven't done any work yet. And it just was such a slow burn at the beginning. I think I should have come out of the gate like faster and louder and celebrated that I was doing balloons, but I didn't. I kind of hid it for a long time. Hello Sunshine Creatives says you don't need to buy every color and size. Always keep the essentials on hand, but only buy as you need them. Your inventory will fill up quickly as you get busier, and you won't be out a bunch of money or stock with a lot of extra inventory. Same with foils. Keep the essentials like congratulations, happy birthday, but only buy as you need them. And always be sure to buy an extra just in case. Yes. Oh my gosh. I didn't do this because I didn't know that people actually like kept an inventory, but I see some people starting businesses and they're buying like 10 bags of every color. That might be more than you can use before those balloons actually even go bad. So at the beginning, there's nothing wrong with just buying what you need for every single job and kind of keeping the leftovers to build your inventory. That's such a great tip. Bougie Balloon says, don't look to your left and right. Your journey isn't going to look like anyone else's. Balloon Construction says, don't be afraid to hire. Hire for jobs that you hate doing. Yes, Blenda, she is the master of hiring out. Lulu Balloons says, hire an inflator after I hired an inflator after 3 years and I wish I had done it after the first. Pop Park City says, I would hire an accountant. Easier to start off on the right foot than go back to fix later. And my other piece of advice is always listen to your gut and intuition. If something doesn't feel right, you don't have to do it. Atlanta Balloon Designer says, I would not buy so much inventory and invest in professional framework from the beginning. Oh, that is a good tip. You know, all of my framework is homemade. And I like that. I like that I can go out and buy the materials that I need, but I never really bought professional bases. And looking back, had I just bought a few $1,000s in steel base plates, they would have paid for themselves so many times over. I've gone through so many versions of making base plates. Now I finally have disposable options that I love. But if I had bought the expensive ones in the beginning, they would have paid for themselves. And Queen City Balloon says, advice when they were starting out, read Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Yes, I think that's a financial book that a lot of us have read and has steered us in the right direction in terms of cash flow. It's definitely a system that I use and I still use because it was the first time anyone told me what percentage I should pay myself, what percentage goes to taxes, what percentage I should be using on operating my business. Like it really maps out for you. I can't say enough about Profit First. All right, next question. This one is by Balloons by Birdie, and it says, how do you find your fellow balloon friends? I have one local friend, but I'm looking to find some out of the area. But it seems that my area and surrounding areas like to all keep to their own cliques and girl gangs. Oh, good question. Okay, I will be honest. I think it took me probably 7 years to find a true core group of girls. These are the women that I talk to like every single day. They're not in my area. They're not local. And we all met Interestingly, we all met through Balloon Boss Summit, but we were never actually there at the same time. I actually think that the group started because we all used 17 hats. So we kind of formed our own little mastermind for like high level use of 17 hats. That was the thing we all had in common. And then we just turned into like a core support group for each other. So for me, all of my friendships, all of the group chats I'm in, all the people that I really, really trust have come from in-person events. Let's see what other people have said. Event Accent Company says Balloon Boss Summit, Balloon Boss Mastermind, conventions like Float, anything with an in-person component where you can connect in person or via Zoom with people. That's how I found my balloon tribe. Pop Park City says start your own gathering. Invite balloon artists to come together and socialize and get to meet each other face to face. Happy Little Party says there's a class in New Jersey in October. You should come. Oops, too late. Sorry, I'm recording this in April. I apologize. I hope you went to that class. But I think in general, most of these comments are saying in person or at least like a Zoom face to face. I'm going to use this as a shameless plug about my retreat I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. That is why I feel so passionate about having a small in-person gathering once a year, because for me, that's where I meet people. Like there's still a group chat going from last year's retreat. I have tons of online friends, but like for me, it's always meeting someone at an event and like having a conversation or sharing a glass of wine or, well, not a glass of wine, sharing a bottle of wine, I guess, going to dinner. Like I need to see people and meet people. And that seems to be where I have met my closest friends. Let's take one more break and then have a few more questions before we wrap up. Hey listeners, before we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Balloon Guild. Do you ever see amazing balloon decor online and wonder, how did they make that? The Balloon Guild is revolutionizing the industry by standardizing recipes, SOPs, and offering unparalleled training. Their mission? To elevate balloon artists worldwide, ensuring efficiency, profitability, and unparalleled professionalism. For business owners and their teams, the Balloon Guild isn't just a resource, it's a game changer for growth and development. For me, it's been the ultimate shortcut in finally getting things out of my head and onto paper, so I'm not making things up on the fly, and so my team can work together to create consistent, fast decor. Visit their platform today at theballoonguild.com or by using the link in the show notes. New recipes and resources are released every month. All right, let's finish up with a few more questions and answers. This one is by Mama Modes. And the question is, did you start your brick and mortar self-funded with a loan or a grant? And presently, would you have done it differently from that decision that you made? Ooh, interesting. This is something I know nothing about because I don't have a brick and mortar. Happy Little Party says, I started in 2018 with some bags of balloons in my living room. In 2020, I moved into a 400 square foot garage and just kept building slowly. Last February, I bought a van, and just last month, I signed a lease on a brick and mortar. I did finance the van, but otherwise, it's been all funded by the business itself, and I've just grown slowly. Having money to invest would have made some things easier, but I think this answer depends on the individual, how much support you have. If you are great at managing people and can build a staff, I primarily work independently, and I'm glad I've grown into this at my own pace. Happy Little Party also says, I didn't think I was ready either, but I found the right place and I took the leap. I think in this business, we grow into the space that we have. You will know when it's time, and when you find the right place, just keep on going. All right. Also, a response to that question was by Designs by JoJo's Creation. And she says, I have a storefront for almost 2 years now. I have 2 vans and it's all self-funded. Things I would ask yourself, do you want to be set to a schedule? Do you want employees? How will you handle setups if the store is open? I think I would have done things a little different if I investigated in what I was getting myself into. You are welcome to reach out and we can talk shop. Very cool. And I think it's all just conversations between kind of those same people. But yeah, brick and mortar is tricky because like JoJo said, if you have brick and mortar, someone's got to be there. And there's a couple good episodes about brick and mortar shops. We will link to them in the show notes. One off the top of my head is by Stephanie Cofield, and she talks all about finding her shop, signing the lease, knowing what she can afford, and talking about some good negotiation tips as well. So we will find that episode and make sure to link in the show notes. How do you make cool photos and where do you edit them? What works best for photos and reels? Balloons by FF says Snapseed and InShot apps. Worth every penny. Snapseed might be free. I can't even remember. Also responded was the Creative Heart Studio. This is Lily. She says, I use Lightroom, Snapseed, and InShot. I pay like $2.99 monthly for InShot, but it's so worth it. It allows me to keep all my videos in one place and I could edit them differently for different uses. And Cascade Balloon says, I'm still somewhat of a newbie, but I pay for the Photoshop app. My new favorite thing is the Reddit thread Photoshop requests. You can post a pic, ask the group to edit, and say, I'll tip $5 to $10, whatever. People would submit their edits, and it's been a game changer for me. I can do general editing, but removing people and objects are still a no-go for me. Oh, that's very cool. And Utah Balloon Creation says, I use Snapseed and PicTapGo apps for editing. I organize and do some editing in Lightroom and InShot for videos. Cool. 114 Balloons asks, how do you all track your purchase receipts for big and small purchases? And the responses are from the Balloon River. Every single transaction gets snapshot and uploaded into QuickBooks Online via the app immediately or end of day. Everything via email gets forwarded to the QuickBooks email and QuickBooks to categorize overall charges. And Bria's Balloon Boutique says, I use Keeper Tax. I absolutely love it. It allows tax time to be a breeze and it finds write-offs for me and it keeps everything organized. It puts all my expenses in a spreadsheet for my tax preparer at the end of the year. Oh, very interesting. Keepertax.com. You can check that out. And then another vote for QuickBooks. Let's do one more. There are so many more, you guys. So if you are liking these, head to the Bright Balloon Instagram. And this is like, I don't know, my third reel back. It's not long ago. And you can see the question right on the cover of the reel, but there are like hundreds more questions and responses if you want to scan through these. Let's do one more. Okay, how about this one? This is a pretty meaty one. I don't have employees right now. Oh, sorry. This is by Party Pop Austin. She says, I don't have employees yet, and I'm still in my first year. My question is, how do you pay yourself? Right now, everything I am making is going back into the business, and I need to start paying myself soon to help with bills. Do you pay yourself a percentage of each job? Do you take a chunk of money here and there? I need help with this one. Okay, this is a great question. My personal response to this is start paying yourself. It doesn't matter how much, and it doesn't matter how. Pay yourself. You'll get in the habit of not paying yourself, and this is going to turn into a very difficult hobby that loses you money. So start paying yourself something. And Queen City Balloons stole my real answer, and that is Read Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. We already mentioned that. He suggests that you should pay yourself 50% of every dollar you bring in. 30% goes into your operating account, 15% goes into taxes, and the last 5% goes into a profit account. And if it's just you, you get that money too. So that's what I did. And it got me in the habit of running a very lean business. In order to take 50% of the pay, 50% of your owner's account, that means you can't be wasting money other places. So it kind of teaches you to run your business very efficiently and effectively. And as it scales and grows, if you're able to maintain those percentages, that's great. They might shift a little bit as you get employees or as you get a van or a rental space. But if you're just by yourself in your home, I believe you should be shooting for 50% is what you pay yourself. How to actually pay yourself might vary. I mean, you can just take it out of your bank account, or you can transfer it to a separate account, whatever works for you. I wouldn't get too overwhelmed in that. I would recommend that you have your own business checking account. However, that is a key to keeping this like clean and organized. Then whatever you take out of that is clearly yours instead of mixing it all together in like your family checking account and not knowing what's what. That gets really, really bad really quick. So get yourself a business checking account and take out, I would say, a high percentage. Take out 30, 40, 50% of every payment that you get. That's going to set you up. Creative Decoration says you need to do a job cost form. This will help you price everything properly and include how much you want to earn for each job. I then pay myself weekly. I'm self-employed, so why should I be monthly on my payroll? And other responses are from Jasmine from the Balloon River. She says, I operate in a profit first cash flow model, meaning I pay myself first for all receivables. A great book, Profit First, again, by Mike Michalowicz, breaks down the process and tells you the ideal percentages. All right. Like I said, there are a lot more questions. You might have a lot of answers if you haven't participated yet. There are still a lot of unanswered questions on this thread, and people are sharing, which I love. It doesn't seem like there's any gatekeeping happening here, and I just love it. I love how this post turned out. I stole the idea from someone else and, did basically nothing. And there are 206 comments. You can go and read them all. All right, I am going to wrap up this episode. This is a little bit long, but I hope some of those answers were interesting. And just a reminder, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, the Glow Retreat opens for female balloon business owners. If that's you and you're interested, I will see you in August in Delavan, Wisconsin. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.